Pioneer basketball hit the much-anticipated playoffs, and Pioneer baseball is back. Men's and women's track and field are your RSC indoor champions. Pittsburgh fans get ready for baseball season, while Penguins fans should start to worry about playoff chances. And the NBA gets back in regular season action as trade rumors circle around the rest of the sports world. It's time to come on down to the Pioneer Sideline. Hello, and welcome back to Pioneer Sideline. I'm your host, Natalie Hillen. The Point Park University's men's and women's basketball teams played their last regular season games this past Saturday at Ohio Christian, and both came out with wins. Starting with the men's team, the Pioneers were down 3 at the half and outscored Ohio Christian 50-30 to win 91-74. Key players were Jalen Stamps, who went 5-9 from 3 and scored 25 points, and Joe Valerie, who got RSC Men's Basketball Player of the Week with 28 points and 16 total rebounds. 20 of those 28 points were scored in the second half. The final score was 91-74 Point Park. The men's team had a regular season of 22 wins and 6 losses overall, and 13 wins and 4 losses in the RSC. They will be home for their first game in the quarterfinals against Midway University Wednesday, February 22nd at 7 p.m. The Pioneers are the number 2 seed from the RSC East Division. The winner of this game will move on to the semifinals on February 25th against either first-seeded IU Kokomo or fourth-seeded Ohio Christian. The championship finals matchup is set for February 28th at the site of the highest remaining seed. The RSC Championship winner will automatically earn a spot in the NAIA National Championship. On Wednesday at the playoff game, the men's and women's track teams will be honored for their indoor conference championship wins, and there will be a PPU student section supporting the men's team. Switching gears over to the women's team, the Pioneers won their last regular season game against Ohio Christian 116-85 in this past Monday. Played at home for the first round of playoffs against St. Mary of the Woods College and took the win 84-61 to move on to the quarterfinals. This was the first playoff win for the women's program in 8 years. Just a few minutes after the tip-off, the Pioneers were up 10-2 with Blada's three-pointer, and at the end of the first quarter, the Pioneers were up 21-10. Late in the first half, the Pomeroys were 10 points away from Point Park, but Point Park got the lead back with 17 points at 42-25. At the end of the second quarter, Point Park was holding a double-digit lead of 46-34. Key players were Ari Blada with 27 points, 18 rebounds, and 6 assists, Taylor Wren with 22 points and 20 rebounds, Emma Pavlik with 15 points and 8 boards, and Alexis Giles with 12 points. With a 70-58 lead with 7:10 to go on the clock, Wren closed out the victory and scored 11 out of the final 14 points with 4 inside baskets and a three-pointer at the end. The game ended with a final score of 84-61. The Pioneers will be playing at Midway University for the RSC Championship quarterfinals Wednesday, February 22nd. Good luck to both teams as they battle it out on the court against Midway University. After the break, we hear how the baseball team did and how the track team did last weekend to prepare for the RSC Indoor Track and Field Championship. Baseball season is here. Point Park University's baseball team played their first 4 games of the season this past weekend in Georgia. The Pioneers came home with 2 wins and 2 losses from the 4-game road stretch. On Friday, Point Park took a loss against Taylor University 2-6. On Saturday, they took the win against Campbellsville University 9-8. On Sunday, took a loss against William Carey College 16-5. And on Monday, they took the win against Faulkner University 6-5. The Pioneers' next 2 games are this Friday, February 24th, against Southeastern University in Davenport, Florida, for the Rusmat Central Florida Invitational. Good luck, boys. Now let's hear from Hannah Bazet to give us some update on how the track team did this RSC Indoor Championship. Hannah?
Thanks, Nat. It was a huge weekend for Point Park's men's and women's track teams. The group traveled to Logan, Ohio, where they competed in the RSC Indoor Track and Field Championship on Saturday and left with a first-place victory. Kicking things off with our men's team, they placed first out of the 12 teams and got a championship record for team points at 251.50 for the day. This is the 3rd year in a row Point Park has won the River States Conference Championship. Damier Stewart had a huge meet, leading the conference with 35 points. At the meet, he took first in the 60 meters, 200 meters, and the long jump. He got RSC championship meet records for all 3 events and clinched NAIA national championship marks as well. Peter Durando also had an impressive meet, placing 2nd overall with 30 total points. He won the high jump at 1.95 meters and just nearly missed qualification for nationals. He was also 2nd in the 60-meter hurdles and 2nd in pole vault. Collins Eze won an individual award as RSC Men's Indoor Field Athlete of the Year. In the meet, he was 3rd overall in points with 24. He placed 2nd in the high jump and won 1st in the triple jump. He also has qualified for nationals in the triple jump. Point Park's head coach Tim Kramer won RSC's Men's Indoor Track and Field Coach of the Year. Elijah James tied for 5th place overall. He won the 600 meters with a championship record time of 1 minute and 23 seconds. He also was 2nd in the 1,000 meters and contributed to Point Park's first place 4x800 relay squad. Demir Lomax won the 60-meter hurdles and placed 3rd in the 60-meter dash. Siobhan Fletcher was 5th in shot put and 2nd in weight throw. The 4x800 relay won first, consisting of Yannick Windelband, Logan Gonzalez, Ramiro Olunke, and James. Their time of 8 minutes and 1 second also set a new meet record. Olunke took 3rd in the 800 and Gonzalez got 5th. John Ziegler came in 3rd place for the 1,000 meters. David Attram won 3rd place for shot put and was 3rd place for all conference. The men's 4x400 relay won first, with Juan Barrera, Darnell Clem, Tyler Hare, and Toby Wright all competing. Now switching over to our women's team, the girls totaled 156 points to win 1st place out of the 11 schools competing. Alyssa Campbell was named RSC Women's Indoor Track Athlete of the Year for the 3rd time. She also scored a conference high of 32.50 points and earned 4 gold medals. Campbell won the mile and 800 with meet record performances and took part in the 3,000-meter race that clinched the championship for the Pioneers. Finally, Campbell was a part of the 4x100 relay that won first. Sideline's own Natalia Hillen also scored big in the meet. She placed 2nd in the 60-meter hurdles and 3rd in the 400. She also competed in the 200, 60, and high jump events to add to the team score. In the 4x800 relay, Allison Placio, Emily Leo, Carlin DeBee, and Campbell took first and were just 1 second off their meet record from last year. The 4x400 squad came in 4th and consisted of Jordan Yaniga, Emma Pavlik, Michaela Rice, and Hillen. Yaniga and Pavlik traveled from the women's basketball game they had competed in earlier that day to compete at this meet. The distance medley crew got their 3rd with Kiara Sawyers, Hannah Bond, Corinne Hauser, and Emily Leo. Placio placed 3rd for all conference and also scored in the mile individually. Sophie Jabosi placed 3rd in pole vault and triple jump. Finally, Campbell's championship record in the mile took down Anna Shields' previous record of 5 minutes and 20 seconds. She will now compete in the NAIA Indoor National Meet in the 3,000 and with the distance medley relay. We are so proud of our men's and women's track team for all of their hard work that they've put in this season. We've celebrated so many PRs, record-breaking times, and wins throughout the season. Those who qualified will be traveling to South Dakota next week to compete in the NAIA Indoor Track and Field National Championship. We cannot wait to cheer on our team all the way to nationals. Now we are joined by national qualifier Natalia Hillen. Nat, congratulations on your huge indoor track season and your national qualification.
Thank you, Hannah. I really appreciate it.
To start us off, why don't you tell us which events you competed in this past weekend?
So I competed in a total of 6 events. 2 of those events I went to finals for. So I first had high jump, 60-meter hurdle prelims. Then I did the 60-meter dash prelims, did the 400, and then I had the finals for 60-meter hurdles, which I broke my own school record. I think it was a total of 4 times, so that was a really great feeling. And then I did the 200 and then the 4x4 relay, so it was a really successful day overall.
You recently found out that you will be traveling with the women's distance medley relay to nationals in South Dakota. What were you feeling when you found out that you would be competing at that level?
I was really honored and just really excited to take that to the national, qualifying track. I've never been to nationals before, so it's definitely going to be like a very exciting and new experience for me.
And we're all really excited for you. This will be your first time competing in nationals. What do you think that you'll need to do to keep this competitive edge that you've had all season to bring home the win?
Just to stay focused and determined and just believe in myself. I think the number one thing for track is, yeah, you have that athletic ability, but also like when you believe in yourself and you have that determination and focus, it makes such a difference in the way you run. So definitely just stay focused and to be really excited for the meet.
That's all I have for you, Nat. We are so proud of you and all of the success that you've had this past season and can't wait to see how you do at nationals.
Thanks again, Hannah. After the break, we'll get some insight on how the rest of the sports world is doing. Stay tuned.
Hey.
Good evening and welcome to Newsnight. My name is Craig Furkowski.
Tonight, we'll cover all your international, national, and local news.
Australia is one of the most biodiverse countries on the planet.
Over 8,000 items are to be auctioned off at Pittsburgh International Airport on October 22nd.
Last Thursday, the House committee investigating the January 6th attack chose to subpoena former President Donald Trump.
All this and more
Coming up
on Newsnight.
Welcome back. Now we hear from India Durham about how all things are going locally. India?
Thanks, Nat. The Pittsburgh Pirates enter spring training with just close to 1 month left before the first game. Pitcher Robert Stevenson will most likely move with caution throughout spring training as some arm discomfort is active. There is no further news on the intensity of the injury, and all we can hope is that it's something minor. Shortstop O'Neill Cruz aims to quote 30-30 or 40-40 this year, hoping to hit 30 home runs and 30 bases or even 40 home runs and 40 bases. O'Neill Cruz made his MLB debut in 2021 and has been one of the Pirates' top players ever since. In NHL news, the Penguins fall out of playoff position after blowing a third-period lead to the New York Islanders. The Penguins dominated the first half after the Islanders' big push. They proceeded to collapse again in the third period, making it 3 losses in a row. Penguins are now looking to make changes at the forward position before the trade deadline closes. As talked about last week, the Pittsburgh Passion will start their season in April against the DC Divas. The Passion will have its home opener against the Tampa Bay Inferno this May and has overall 6 games for their 2023 football season, excluding any future championship games. Moving on to soccer news, the Pittsburgh Riverhounds have an upcoming game in less than 1 month against Birmingham Legion FC, with a long season ahead of them, with their last game ending in their regular season ending in October. Well, that's all for local news. Back to you, Nat.
Thank you, India. Now let's send things over to John Mayer to update us on how the rest of the sports world is doing. John?
Thanks, Nat. The NBA hosted its annual All-Star Game this past weekend, headlined by team captains LeBron James and Giannis Antetokounmpo. But the player who stole the show was Boston Celtics star Jason Tatum, who broke Anthony Davis's All-Star Game record with 55 points while winning the game's Most Valuable Player award, while Team Giannis came out with the victory over Team LeBron by a score of 184 to 175. On to the NFL, where the Raiders released four-time Pro Bowl quarterback Derek Carr. Carr is already starting to garner interest around the league as he recently had a meeting with the New York Jets, a team who is known to be in the market for a quarterback. In NHL news, the Capitals and Hurricanes play in the annual Stadium Series, where the Hurricanes continue their dominance in the Metropolitan Division, besting Washington by a score of 4-1. The NHL trade deadline is also starting to heat up, as the Rangers added another player during the deadline after their blockbuster trade for Blues forward Vladimir Tarasenko, when they acquired Tyler Mott from Ottawa. The Blues traded another key player besides Tarasenko, as they also dealt Ryan O'Reilly to the Toronto Maple Leafs. That is all I have for national news. Back to you, Nat.
Thanks, John. After the break, we come back with the case of the week. Stay tuned.
Regular physical activity is one of the most important things you can do for your health. The benefits of physical activity include brain health, weight management, reducing disease, strengthening your bones and muscles, and improving your ability to do everyday activities. So, it's time to get up and be active.
Welcome back. In this week's Case of the Week, we're going to discuss which NHL teams have surprised us so far and who we think will make a significant push to the playoffs. Today, I'm joined by John and Hannah to hear what they have to say. So first, starting out with all of the top teams in divisions right now, we have Hurricanes first in the Metro, the Bruins for the Atlantic Division, Golden Knights in the Pacific, and the Stars in the Central. So John, what team has surprised you the most out of these four teams?
Out of those four, I got to say the Boston Bruins. They've been incredibly dominant so far to start the year. And the trade of Hampus Lindholm last year from Anaheim, signing him to an extension, he's really strengthened their blue line. He's been worth every penny for them. So getting him, David Pastrnak has had an incredible year. Brad Marchand is always doing his thing. And Linus Ullmark in net has really been an incredible goaltender for them. So getting these guys, the Boston Bruins, have been dominant. They're a heavy cup contender heading into the trade deadline. They're definitely a team to watch.
Yeah, seeing these players come in, it has really transformed the team, and obviously they're top in the division right now, so that's like a really good thing right now. Hannah, what's your favorite team, and what are some positives and negatives so far for them?
In contrast to the Bruins, I am a Leafs fan. So some of the positives that I have are the Leafs just had 2 big pickups from the Blues. We got Ryan O'Reilly and Nolan Achari, which have been huge. Matthews is back and healthy. He was out for a little bit, but now he's back and ready to go. And the Leafs are second in Atlantic behind the Bruins, but there's a significant gap between the two of them, so I do not think the Leafs will be able to go to one. But I think that they're strong enough where they're at right now to hopefully hold it going out of the trade deadline. Some negatives are that the team consistently cracks under pressure. This has been like a year after year thing. And that's a really, really, really big problem, especially when you have as many stars as the Leafs do. I mean, the team is stacked. It's incredible, and they do really, really good all regular season. And then whenever the postseason starts to creep up, it's like they just don't come to play. Like whatever, they get off the gas. So that's a huge problem with the team. And then also because they've just gotten these new add-ons, there's obviously going to be team adjustments. And so you just need chemistry, and you need to come together and find a new way to make everything work.
Mm-hmm. Are there any other teams that have surprised you guys so far in the NHL?
The Devils really have been a surprise team. Vitek Vanacek has really stepped in and goalie for them. He's really held it down. Jack Hughes has turned into a megastar, an absolute megastar, and he has the Devils right up there at the top of the Metro with the Hurricanes. So no one would have expected that coming into the year. The Devils were bottom dwellers, so they have some really young talent, and I feel like they've finally put it all together.
I'll second the Devils. Again, Jack Hughes, he's had an incredible season, especially with how he played his first couple seasons. It's amazing how he's kind of transformed this season, and he's been a huge threat for their team. They've also been extremely consistent this year, which is not something that I think people were expecting, because just as you said, they sat at the bottom for the past couple years. They weren't really a threat to anyone, and now I'd say they're probably one of the biggest threats and contenders for the Cup, and they are second in Metro. I think that they'll go pretty far. I think they'll go far in the playoffs.
So out of all these teams right now, we do have to touch on one team specifically, the Pittsburgh Penguins. So the last couple of games, they haven't really been playing so hot. We've been seeing them do really good at the beginning of the game, but then kind of towards the last periods, they kind of been falling short, So what do we think they really need to do in the next couple of weeks to even be in the playoffs?
First off, they got to trade for some defense. Their defense and their fourth line in particular have really held this team down. Also, the injuries with Tristan Jarry, the starting goaltender, Casey DeSmith has been a little unreliable at times in relief. So for the Pens, right now, you signed Crosby, you signed Malkin, you signed Letang, you signed these veteran players back. You got to win now. You got to make some trades. Even though it hasn't been going their way so far, I believe at the deadline they should really look into acquiring some defensemen and strengthening that blue line.
I know their fourth line is not good at all, so we just got to start getting some trades in before the trade deadline to see if we can get some of these people in to help us, because our team is full of older players. Yeah. So do you think bringing in some younger players will help our team to stay in the long run, or?
Definitely. As you said, the Penguins have a very, very old roster. They have a lot of veterans, and I believe they need some youth on the team. Even though Ricard Raquel has came in, he's done a great job at forward, but I mean, for the Penguins, defense is the main thing. Not even really so youth. They just got to really strengthen the defense by whatever means necessary. It could be a veteran, it could be whoever, but they got to strengthen that defense by any means necessary heading into the trade deadline.
I know. Being a Pittsburgh Penguins fan, it's obviously really tough to not see us doing as well. Because we know, our Crosby, Malkin, we want them to obviously succeed and do good and make it to the playoffs. I know a lot of fans wanted Patrick Kane to be on the team. What do you guys think of that?
It could be a possibility. It could be something they look into, but I believe the main thing the Penguins got to do right now is strengthen the defense. Even though Patrick Kane would be a splashy trade, I believe they should really focus on the defense and that fourth line. Because Patrick Kane, he's not a fourth line guy. He's going to be a top of the line guy. So I believe just working on depth, working on defense, the Penguins, they're not too far away. They're only they're a seed or two out of playoff spot. So
there's still a lot of time to come back. I mean, we're going to have to see how they do and if they really pull together and see what players they can get in before the trade deadline. Well, that is all that we have time for this week. We hope you are able to join us next week at the same Pioneer time, the same Pioneer channel, and the same Pioneer Sideline.